Welcome, survivors, burnout community, and those just interested. It's Kelly Buboltz, trainer, author, speaker, and your burnout prevention mentor. Burnout is not taboo. It's our reality in this chaotic, fast-paced world. But we're not going to let it drive the narrative to our stories. We're going to do something about it, so let's dig in. A common question comes up, a common question of, how can I get my employer to approve trainings? How can I get my employer to approve me to go to this conference next year, or my teammates to this conference? Because I had to go through 4 levels of approvals to get here. There's someone recently reached out to me to get burnout help with their team, and their first question wasn't about my services, wasn't about my fees. It was about, how can I even get the conversation started with my employer? This is an important function of getting to think different, because the world is changing and the modern day workforce is demanding development and professional growth. So this video is both for employees on how to take very logical steps so that they can get things approved, so it's very clear what their request is, and for employers to really understand that their employees are struggling to ask for help and support. And this both goes for people who need development to fill those gaps in their skill sets, new upcoming employees, or people that struggle with soft skills. They're also struggling to ask for help. And your high performers. Your high performers still need to be developed, either guiding more towards a mentorship role, a leadership role, or how to just navigate all this on their plate, because they are also underwater. So even though they're very good at what they're doing, they're not asking for help. That doesn't mean that they don't need support. So let's dig right in. If you haven't already, make sure that you're connected out on social media channels or out on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss future episodes, or hit up my website for blogs, the podcast, the newsletter for other tools and techniques. So the benefits of professional growth, you already know it, but I'm going to bring it to light, because I think sometimes in the noise of chaos of business and operations that we forget about professional growth. And you get new skills. And this is so important because software is advancing so fast, and technology, that there are avenues for help and resources out there, and even just networking with other people in your industry that use resources, and now you know of such resources, that they can gain that skill set. There was someone that I was speaking at a conference, and I was on the speaker side, but I was speaking to the employee, and she was talking about some of my content, and she suggested another YouTube person to follow for tips and techniques in this software that I use. Blew my mind. I never, when you search in YouTube, I mean, it's endless content. But this specific person was training people who present in a different manner than all the other YouTubers and streamers that are out there. So it was the person that I needed. And I would have never got that if I didn't network with this person at this conference. I would have still been struggling, figuring things out on my own. Do you see all the time waste that goes into that? Now, we're going to be talking about productivity optimization in a little bit, but let's talk about more benefits from professional growth. So they're getting new skills. They're getting industry insights. Usually at conferences, people are talking back and forth. They're discovering why things are the way that they are, good or bad. They're getting forecasting information from competitors, except it's not in a competitive type of state, like you got that proposal and I didn't. It's more of a collaborative effort, because we're all just trying to survive in this business world. And it's a great way to see what's going on outside of your walls. Sometimes we get stirred crazy in our office, in our little organization, that we don't realize other people are going through this, or other people might have already conquered this hurdle. And so what did they do that you got insights on? So industry insights is always a plus in professional growth when you're going out to a course, going out to a conference, getting that kind of connection going on. And then, of course, networking opportunities. There was one employer that I met that said that they don't send people to professional growth opportunities such as courses, networking events, those groups that are within their trade or conferences because they're afraid that they will go get another job. And I told them that's the problem, not the request from this employee. The problem is that you're afraid this employee is going to leave. I don't know about you, but if my employer kept denying my professional growth requests, I would go somewhere else. So it's almost going to have that counterintuitive effect to it. So make sure that they're allowed to have some network opportunities because it's also branding for your company. If they're speaking highly about your company, if they're speaking highly about all the development investment that your company is making in its employees, that's branding. Why wouldn't that person want to come to your company? So it's always a good network opportunity to just keep connections. You never know who will circle around and end up in your company someday. Now, let's talk about some pitfalls of why professional growth doesn't happen. And I think the biggest one is just alignment. The connection of the sessions or the conference and the company goals are disconnected. It's too far apart. And that's because goals and objectives are not clear. And I will be talking about that in a second. The second reason why professional growth is so hard to get approved, aside from budgets and focus, is the preparedness of this conversation. So coming from HR professional of 2 decades, I would have these requests come to me from either a supervisor or directly from an employee. And it would be very scattered. It wouldn't be really clear what they want out of it. Maybe their friend that they hung out with over the weekend went to this conference or this workshop, and now they want to go. And I'll say, okay, well, what's it about? They don't really know. And they send me the link off the internet. Okay, that's great, but I still don't understand why you want to go to it. I still don't understand what you're going to get out of it. I don't understand what the value to the organization will be. So from the employee side, here's what I want you to prepare. And this means that you're serious. This means you've done your homework on it. This means that you've invested some time already and thought this out, that this is the best avenue for you to go in this very moment this year for your development. So the first item I want you to prepare is, what are you going to bring back from this event, from this learning event? Whether it's like your trade, like I'm in SHRM, which is an HR trade kind of community organization, but they have APICS for supply chain. They have all different type of organizations. So from this conference, from this course, from this meeting that you're going to go to within your trade, what are you going to bring back to the team? Like, what's your intent? I think sometimes we send people out to things because we've already always sent people to such event or always sent people to this conference over and over again, that we lose the intention of their time there. We lose the intention of what they should be seeking, what they should be getting for the team. And that will change depending on what's going on in your organization at this time. So say last year, you had a lot of turnover in your organization. Maybe that's the conversation and sessions that you are attending that year. Maybe this year, you're talking about integration of your systems and software. That is the sessions and the people you're networking with while you're there. And so the intention should be set based on what's going on in your organization and where your team needs that support. So number one thing to prepare is what are you bringing back to your team? The second one is, how are you going to gain space when you get back to, well, I shouldn't say that. How are you going to gain space to go and when you get back, recover? When I would see people come back from a 2-day conference or workshop or a half-day supervisor leadership class, they just go right back to the grind. And that's very disappointing because I study human behavior, and human behavior needs time to digest and reflect on what happened. They need time to just kind of like step back, third party, and observe behaviors to apply these new tools. They need time to digest this information. And guess what? It retains. It has 80% higher retention rate when you observe and practice it versus go back to the grind. And it's like a PowerPoint that sits in your desk over here. And that's why a lot of these new tools won't sustain. That's why I think a lot of workshops and classes have gotten bad raps, is because the people actually attending it don't have time to implement it when they get back. So number 2 is, conversation when you're preparing for this conversation with your supervisor or leader or HR person is space when you return. Space when you return to observe and start practicing these tools. Space to present tools or material or information from the recent conference, event, or class to your team. Some helpful tools you can do. So are you allotting some time in your department meeting for that? So that's number 2. 3 is, what is your backup when you're out of office? A lot of times in conferences, I'll be speaking and there are the people in the audience, not all of them, but some of them will have their laptops open and they'll be working. They'll have their phones on, like the moment they get a break from the workshop, emailing like crazy. There's been times that people have actually left the session to take phone calls. And just from my experience in the last couple of years, it is unlikely they are in emergency contact. I have only met actually one emergency contact in 2.5 years that had to leave for a phone call because they were the contact. All the other times are just emails. They're emails in which you could probably wait 2 hours for when the session is done or 1 hour for when the session is done to answer emails. But people are just working away. Do you think that lack of focus is helping you learn? It is not. Do you think that lack of focus is helping you network with new connections with the intent that you have for being at this event? It does not. So again, the company's not getting their bang for the buck. You're not getting your bang for your buck. You might as well just be at work. So I don't care if people are on their phones or on their laptops during my sessions, because that's on them. That's what they want to get out of that session. I don't own any of that. But it's disappointing when it's because of lack of coverage. So that means they can't leave the office because no one's covering their work. And I was definitely in that place as a high performer with my hands in too many pots. I could never attend my trade organization meetings. If they were online or virtual, I would be working through them. I would have it up on one screen and then be working on my other screen. So I was definitely an offender of that too. So what is the coverage plan while you're out of office? That includes the event, and then that includes when you get back to regurgitate that information. What's the backup plan? The 4th thing is select the right event. I think that organizations go to conferences year after year after year, and sometimes it's misaligned eventually from where their company wants to go. And there's a conference over here that would be perfect for them, but they're so blindsided and narrow lens that this is the conference we always go to. This is the conference we always send our team members to. If you're still getting a lot out of that conference or event or class or course, great. Continue that partnership with that event, course, or class. If you aren't getting that bang for the buck, or it kind of seems like maybe we won't approve that this year, look for other events. There's so many great organizations and events and classes and courses out there that I think organizations get stuck in traditional ways and traditional partnerships that they haven't explored all the new stuff that's out there. There's some people that I'll meet at conference and they'll be like, wow, I wish that we attended this where you were at that conference because you had a 4-hour workshop instead of a 1-hour keynote. And I said, yeah, you probably would have got a lot more out of that than listening to me just in a broad overview for 1 hour with a big group of people. The workshop was only 50 people. We could have really dug into some things. So really evaluating when you go into the year what your workforce needs and guiding towards that versus we always go to this conference. Another thing you can do that clients have done is if they always want to go to this conference because they get great networking, they get great insights, maybe give some options. So you have a team of 5 people, like one person goes a year. And then there's all these other things that people can apply for as well. So you kind of rotate through the team. They bring all that information back to the rest of the team. But there's all these other things that people can go to so that they don't have to wait 5 years before they get out of the office again. So select the right event. And then make sure that you're gathering all the information on costs. Because people usually just send a link to their supervisor, send a link to HR. There's other costs that are to be considered, like travel, hotels, food, meals, things like that. So kind of just estimate what the cost of this event will be. And that also helps the person, because if we're layering on more tasks for your leader or HR person, they're probably less likely to look at it more with intention versus like a very thought out proposal process, and you've prepared. It is in line with what your team needs. It's in line with the company objectives this year. You have the costs worked out. You have your backup plan. Yeah, this seems pretty easy to approve as long as it's in budget because you have everything all worked out. Now, let's talk about some of the things that hold us back from requesting professional development, and that's in the workforce energy management. So you'll hear me talk about this in several videos because it's goes along with productivity loss over the years. As the world got busier, we started losing the workforce, and we want to blame it on all these trending terms like quiet quitting and quiet vacationing and remote work doesn't work and all these like distraction symptom things. But when you get down to root causes, when you really dig into what's going on with your workforce, why people are disengaged, why people are burning out, the 4 factors kept trending. And that is, it kind of was like in a compass. It was like a sense of direction was within a team. And we just need to get them back on track through some guiding principles. So the first one is navigate. How are we going to guide the direction of our team? So if this is clear, if this is clear across departments, across different levels of the company, you will be able to guide forward to an event, to professional growth. You know that we're focusing on software integration this year. So maybe an AI convention or this convention that has a lot of AI sessions in it is going to be something that you want to attend. Again, focus your attendance on a class, course, or event on the direction of the team and the company this year. So where is this event going to navigate you? Expedition. These are the people you're around during this journey. So strengthening communication and cross collaboration. Say, as an HR professional, I always go to this one event. Well, who else would benefit from this event based on the session layout and speakers coming this year, based on the theme of the whole conference? Maybe it's not just HR. Maybe I bring our top supervisor with us because it's all about people. Maybe I bring the plant manager or operation business manager. Who else can come with you that it's a cross-collaborative effort versus HR coming back, hey, look, Kelly has all these ideas again. Great. No one bought into it. No one wants to do them. And it was kind of a waste of time then. And you probably have felt that way as you go into professional growth, that you come back with all these tools. No one's really listening when you get back. And so it feels like a waste of effort and time. So can you get some cross collaboration to strengthen that communication across departments, depending on the event, class, and course? And then building team energy and trust. If you've been out to a conference or an event or a club meeting, you know the energy is flowing, it's thriving, and it's getting people out of, again, their own walls in their office or that remote office effect, and getting them collaborating with other companies, talking about different hurdles and how they're overcoming it, talking about different resources and tools. So you build team energy by getting them out into the community, in their industry, in their trade, really just thriving with people just like them, like-minded people. And so when we talk about synergy and when we do team assessments, a lot goes into that. Like, what are we doing outside of the company to increase our energy? And then, of course, we've been talking about workflow. So productivity optimization, you won't get better unless you try new things. Well, new things come from events and classes and courses and new tools. There's some companies that haven't done training since pre-COVID time. So we're talking 2020. It's 2024 when I'm recording this. So that means in 4 years, their workforce hasn't had training. Can you imagine all the advancements that have not been implemented, the communication tools, all the things that probably could make their life a little bit easier, more productive without adding more? And they're missing out on it because they haven't sent people outside their walls. So productivity optimization is getting to explore those new effectiveness tools, and you do that by attending events, classes, courses. Now, I think when we prepare for this conversation, when you're asking to go to an event or a program, It's important to be open for feedback. If your boss or leader HR requests more information, do not be offended. Do not take it personal. They're purely doing their job to make sure all the checks and balances on their side are done before they can approve. They have things that they have to match before they can approve such training. And maybe it's a no because they're over budget. Maybe it's a no because they don't have good backups right now. But then it's time to make a plan so you can go in the future. So be open to that feedback. It's not personal. It's professional. It's still a business. You just have to make a really good case around it, and you'll probably have a better outcome. And then make sure that the focus is not on you. Make sure the focus and value of it is on the team, is on the organization, is on the business. Because I think I've seen over the years some people go to it for their personal professional growth, which, is great, but they lacked a way to present it back to the team or to the organization of what they're going to bring when they get back, the things and value that they provide after getting such a skill set. And that goes a long way with getting approval on professional growth. And then the last thing I want you to do is make sure that you are giving space, that you're presenting, and you're following up on these new tools from events and trainings. I think that's the biggest pitfall that I've struggled with viewing in HR, was seeing supervisors go to great programs that I've even went to, and then the real world just swallows them whole when they get back. We were a 24/7 manufacturing plant and 3-plant operation, so very, very busy. And they would get these great tools, and maybe a day they would practice it, and it would just get too busy, and then all these new things would wash away. Or they would come back with some great ideas from networking, and because we were busy, it wouldn't get the focus that it deserved. So then people wanted to stop going to training. So make sure that you're also babying the post-program time. So if you go to a course, a class, an event, a conference, that you have space to digest when you get back. Maybe that's you work remotely when you get back so you can catch up just on emails and think about what happened at the conference versus going to the office. Maybe that's as part of your professional growth, you get a half day in the morning just to get your thoughts together, get some plans together, get your presentation together of what you're going to present back to the team. And then you come into work. Again, creating that productivity optimization. Make sure you're presenting to people what you could bring in. I would say focus on the things that are practical to apply. I've been in meetings where people present everything that happened at a conference, and 10% is probably applicable to our company. So make sure that it's really focused around the direction of where their organization is going. And then follow-up actions. Make sure you're following up with your new network contacts, meeting them for coffee, meeting them for Zoom sessions, giving time to that, whether it's a half hour here or there, because again, it's good branding for future recruitment. It's good networking that you don't maybe have to attend future conferences because you have 10 new network contacts that are feeding the need for growth and that industry insights. Then maybe you don't have to go to a 3-day conference because you're getting all these insights from them anyways. So make sure that you're really giving time to that follow-up. Now, the biggest thing with pitching for professional growth, the biggest thing that I want you to remember is it's about where you're going and painting the picture of what that looks like.
I know you're not lazy. Most people in burnout are high performers, those serving others before themselves. Don't discount this step today, the action in which you focused on your self-growth. Piecing together the puzzle is half the journey. Rediscovering yourself, energy, and establishing new habits is the other. Do not underestimate the untapped inner strength inside you. Explore more resources on my website to move from zombie mode back to liveliness. See you soon.